Hi, Revive family. Welcome once again. So happy that you joined us today. I'm so excited to share this word with you. For the ones who don't know me, my name is Antonio Reyes, and I have the privilege to be part of the pastoral team in this house, this community, this church. And this is your first time watching us. My desire is that today you can encounter meaning, that you can encounter hope, that you can encounter direction, clarity, and that you can encounter forgiveness, that you can encounter the creator of the universe today. You know what? Today, as I share my heart with you, I know we live in a very weird time where all we see is separation, we see tension, we see chaos. And I know that we're overwhelmed through all avenues, through the TV, through social media, through everywhere. So today, I just want you to take a pause for a moment and that you can just receive what God is saying to you. And today, I want to speak to you about reimagining the future. Reimagining the future. I want to take you back to the Old Testament with this guy by the name of Isaiah. He was a prophet. A prophet would communicate the heart of God, would communicate the purpose of God to his people. And this is exactly what Isaiah is doing in his book. And today I want to take you back to a couple verses that they might seem a little off, but I think we can find a lot of beauty, a lot of hope on those. And before I read those verses, I want to speak to you about what's going on. Let me give you a context, because what's going on is that the people of Israel are making poor decisions. They're walking away from values. They're walking away from serving one another. They're walking away from being compassionate to one another. And God, this God who's trying to speak to them, has become another God among all the gods that they had in that time. So this God is trying to communicate to them. And Isaiah calls them out. He lets them know, hey, if you keep taking these choices, you keep making these decisions, you're going to lose what you love, and it's your freedom. And this is what it takes us into Isaiah chapter 2, verse 2 to 4. And this is what it says. There's a day coming when the mountain of God's house will be the mountain solid, towering over all the mountains. All nations will river towards it. People from all over set out for it. They'll say, come, let's climb God's mountain. Go to the house of the God of Jacob. He'll show us the way he works so we can live the way we were made. So he's talking about that one day the house of God will be so magnetic that everybody would want to come to know who this God is and the way he works. That's what Isaiah is doing. One day, he's like, one day this is going to happen with the house of God is going to be so magnetic. But he's talking about Jesus. That's what he's talking about. If we keep going in the next verses, it says, science, the source of revelation. God's message comes from Jerusalem. He'll settle things fairly between nations. He'll make things right between many peoples. They'll turn this source into shovels, their spears into hoes. No more will nation fight nation. They won't play war anymore. I love this portion of what Isaiah is saying. He will turn swords into shovels, spears into hoes. Have you ever lived in a time in your life or in a season of your life where you can't see yourself without that relationship, without that person, or perhaps without certain things in your life? I remember, I grew up as an only child, and my mom's attention was over me all the time. I was a brat, let me tell you. Don't judge me because I'm broken, But I remember all the attention of my mom. I had all the attention of my mom. When I would get sick, she would be there serving me, taking care of me, making me soup, and everything that a mom does. She would clean for me. She would cook for me. She would wash my clothes, everything. And if you would have asked me when I was 18, do you see yourself being away from your mom? I would tell you no. That's the only future I see. Like, there's nothing. I can't see my life without my mother. At the age of 19, I had to move out of my house and move to college. And in that process, I had to learn how to separate my clothes, to wash them white, black colors, dark colors, towels. And it was so complex for me many times. I had to learn how to cook and many other things. But if you would have asked Antonio when he was 18, do you see a different future? Do you see an alternative future for your life? I will tell you no. I just want to be with my mommy. I just want to be with her. But see, there was a different future in the other side of this. And this is exactly what the prophets would do. They would reimagine the future. They didn't learn this in school. They didn't take a workshop. They didn't read a book about prophecy. This is a God-given gift to them. That they were able to see the reality of their families, of their city, of their political system, of their religious system. And they were able to see clearly in a different angle, to see a different future that they couldn't see for themselves. See, the prophets would have the ability to restructure the reality, their world, through poems, through songs, through writings. Even some of them, they would act what they would have to say, because sometimes it was so harsh. See, reimagining requires change. And let's be honest, some of us, we're not so good with change. Some of us, we hate change. And more so when we are the beneficiaries of that reality. So that was the issue. Isaiah would come to people and he would communicate these things. But the people in power, the people that had influence, the people that have a seat in the table will hate people like Isaiah, because he will come and mess up with the things that will provide security and control to them. So people like Isaiah, they will kill people like him in that time. And they couldn't see a different reality. They couldn't see a different future because they were okay with that. They were okay with the way things were working for them. And many times, let me tell you this, our own intuition and our own knowledge can become our own curse. Because we haven't done it that way all the time. Because this is the way I got taught. Because this is the way we do it all the time. And that robs us from a different way of seeing the future. And this is what Isaiah would do. One of the most frustrating things as growing up, as the only child, and I'm sure it's not just an only child, but there was this sentence that my mom would use that would irritate me so much. And she would tell me, because I said so, or because I'm your mom. Sometimes I would want to go hang out with my friends, or I would want to buy certain things, and I would have great arguments that I knew she didn't have other arguments against mine. And she would pull this card of like, because I said so, because I'm your mom. I would hate it. It would get me so upset because I knew I was just talking to a wall now. I knew that I was not going to be able to penetrate any of my comments, any of my arguments. And I was so upset. I was like, oh my gosh, why were you so mean? But see, many of us, we react the same way when someone comes and challenges our reality. When someone comes and challenge our actions, the way we take decisions, the way we believe certain things. We actually react the same way. This is the way I am. This is what I want to believe. And Isaiah will come and challenge those things. Isaiah tells them in his book, I can see a future where the poor is no longer oppressed, where the rich no longer takes advantage of people, with violence is not the way to react to things. Isaiah will come and will reimagine that for people. Let me tell you, someone like Isaiah will come and will challenge the status quo, the way they will live life, the way they will run things, and more, the people in power, the religious leaders and the kings. Why? Because they were not exempt of this. Not because they knew the rituals, the law, not because they knew the right words. They were going to be exempt of this. No, they were under that too. See, Isaiah, in this moment, in Isaiah chapter 2, when he's talking to them, he writes a poem where he's reimagining a future where the weapons become tools, where spears become hoes, where swords become shovels, where the weapons that they utilize for war, they're going to become utensils for agriculture. He no longer sees a battleground. Now he sees a garden. Why? Because the way you see reality and the way you see your world matters. How do you see the world? Do you see the world that only the strongest survive? Where it's okay to take advantage of others? Where you can't trust anyone? Where you're always the victim about everything that is happening around you? How do you see the world? How do you see reality? And that matters. See, I have a friend in Mexico, and we grew up together, and he hated that I became a pastor. In his mind, he cannot conceive that someone wants to help someone else genuinely. That he can conceive the idea that they always have an agenda, he tells me. Now, you want to steal from people. You want to manipulate people. He cannot conceive a different future because that's the way he grew up. See, some of us, that's the way we see our world. So negative, with pain, with violence, with negativity, with brokenness only. And I always tell the people that I have the privilege to lead, I want to be known not just for the things that I'm against. I want to be known by the things that I'm for. That I'm for people, fighting for people to find a connection with their Creator. That I'm for people, that I'm fighting for people, for healthy families, healthy communities. I want to be that person. I want to be known as a person that has hope for his nation. What would happen if you and I would see the world as Isaiah? Will we see ourselves as recipients of love, of peace, of favor, of forgiveness, of the dreams and the desires of God for humanity? What would that look like? That we can restructure and shape the future of our own world. But let me ask you, what do you have in your hands? How do you see what you have in your hands? Do you see them as weapons or do you see them as tools? How do you see the reality? Do you see around you do you see as a battleground? Do you see that your boss is against you? That your families don't understand you? That your partner is your enemy? That your kids don't understand who you are and don't understand how you feel? That your pastor is just bothering you? How do you see the world? Do you see it as a battleground? How do you use your gifts and your attributes? Do you use them as tools or do you use them as weapons? Do you use your character to intimidate others? Do you use your ability to talk to people to manipulate and obtain what you want? Do you use your ability to create wealth only for yourself and take advantage of others? Do you use your knowledge to make people ignorant, to make people feel ignorant? How do you use your abilities and your attributes? Do you use them as a weapon or do you use them as a tool? What would happen if you can see the world in an alternative way? That you allow the voice of God to speak into your soul, to speak into your heart, to see a different angle of a different future. Because this privilege is no longer just reserved for people like Isaiah. Now it's for all of us. We all have access to that. Can you see that you can use your abilities and your attributes as tools to cultivate and protect others, to inspire others, to benefit others? Can you see your weapons becoming tools to cultivate others? Can you see it? See, the beauty of Isaiah is that if we keep reading his book, there's this moment, I believe one of the most important prophecies. And it's found in Isaiah chapter 9. He's speaking to his people and he's saying, this is the future for our nation and for humanity. That one day we will have access to someone that would change humanity. You know, Isaiah is having this vision and I'm almost certain that he was not completely aware of what he was talking about. But he's trying to encapsulate, he's trying to articulate through a poem what he's seeing. And this is what he sees. For a child has been born for us. This is Jesus. The gift of a son for us. He will take over the running of the world. His name will be Amazing Counselor, Strong God, Eternal Father, Prince of Wholeness. His ruling authority will grow, and there will be no limits to the wholeness he brings. See, I want you to understand, Isaiah is 700 years before Jesus is born. He's talking about him coming. That one day, the humanity will have access to the creator of the universe. That one day you and I will have access to this amazing counselor. That when you and I feel that we don't have direction, that when you and I feel overwhelmed, when you and I feel that we're walking in darkness, that we will have an amazing counselor that will guide us and lead us. That one day we will have access to this eternal Father that will claim us His own, His daughters and sons, that He will protect us and care for us. That the future He sees is this Jesus that He's trying to encapsulate and He's trying to communicate that one day, you and I, when we feel overwhelmed, when we feel anxious, when we feel desperate, when our insecurities are taking the best out of us, that we will have access to the source of peace and wholeness. Can you see a different future for your surroundings? My desire is, and the way I see the future for you is that a future with Jesus, a future close to Him. That's the alternative of your life. That your reality is no longer going to define you. That your inconsistencies will no longer take away the best from you. That your patterns will no longer have the last saying. That you have access to this eternal Father. And Isaiah is communicating to his people, this is the future that I see for all of us. Do you see it? As I close, can you see a different future? Can you reimagine a different future where our tools will cultivate others and protect others, and we will deposit life into others? There's no longer a battleground, but it's a garden to cultivate everything around us. Do you see it? Can you see a different future around you? Family, as we close, I want to pray for you. Maybe this is your first time and you're asking yourself, like, I want to know this Jesus. I want to have a connection with this, with the Prince of Peace, with the amazing Counselor, with the Eternal Father. I want to develop this relationship with Him. I want to have access to Him. Let me tell you, today is a day. Wherever you find yourself at right now, I want you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable. And can you pray with me? God, I give you everything that I have, all my sins, all my inconsistencies, even my attributes and my gifts are yours. Can you forgive my sins? Can you erase everything? And can you give me a different future? I want to live your purpose, Jesus. I receive you in my heart. Change me, transform me. In your name, Jesus, I pray. Amen and amen. And family, I want to pray for you. Maybe this is today, you find yourself after a long year. A long year. Maybe you find yourself as like, man, I completely forgot that I have access to this amazing Counselor. Maybe I forgot that I have access to this strong God, to the Eternal Father, to the Prince of Peace. And I have been living my life in a different way. I want to pray for you. Whatever you find yourself at right now, God, wherever we find ourselves right now, can you bring peace? Can you bring joy? Can you interact with us, God? Can you speak to our souls? Can you help us reimagine the future of our families, the future of our marriages, the future of our communities? Whatever we have in our hands, we want to use them as tools and not as weapons, God. Give us the wisdom and the love to care for others. In your name, Jesus, I pray, amen and amen. Family, if this is your first time receiving Jesus, we want to connect with you. We want to know how can we walk with you in this new journey. All the information is going to be here on the screen, and you can email us. You can let us know how can we help you and pray for you. Family, we love you, and I can't wait to see you soon.
What's good, Revive? We hope that after a service like that, you've come to enjoy the new format. Here at Revive Church, we want to just welcome each and every single one of you who is experiencing Revive Church online for the first time. If that's you, on the bottom of the screen, there are different ways to reach out. We just want to say hello, and we want to know how to be able to pray for you. Also, as you know, these online services are spreading all over the world. There's people in different states and countries that are hearing the message of Jesus Christ because of your partnership, because of your commitment and generosity. We want to just say thank you for helping us spread the gospel of Jesus all over the world. And if you haven't, on the bottom of the screen, you have 3 different opportunities, 3 different ways on how you can give and contribute to this mission. Let's all be on mission together to continue to spread this wonderful gospel. And remember, here at Revive, we believe that you suffer in isolation, but you heal in community. That's why we always tell every single person that we love, don't do life alone. See, life groups is the cornerstone. It is one of our foundations. It is one of our pillars here at Revive Church because we believe that community is beneficial and a blessing to every single person that participates in it. That's why if you are in a life group, we highly encourage you to continue with your commitment to meet, whether online or in person, however you prefer and however it is that you guys are doing it. We just encourage you guys to continue to do so. And if you don't have a life group, please reach out. We would love to connect with you, and trust me, we will plug you in regardless of where you are in the world today. Until next time, God bless. Have a great week.